and welcome to the Double Fall Podcast. I'm one of your hosts, Will, and I am joined by a very special guest, JP Hovey, producer for Bussin' with the Boys podcast, also co-host of, more importantly, the Slice Tennis Podcast. A big tennis fan, so JP, love to have you on. And for those who aren't familiar with your content and what you're trying to grow here, just give a little background how you got into tennis and your work that you do with the Slice and everything else.
Yeah, definitely. Hey, but Will, I appreciate you having me on. I know we've been going back and forth on Twitter for a while now, so I'm glad that we were able to make it happen. I love what you do on Double Fault. And for the listeners out there that are watching this video right now, make sure you throw the follow to the Double Fault on Twitter, Instagram, everything. Keep pumping the numbers. We all need it. Rising tide lifts all ships. But yeah, man, I co-host the Slice Tennis Podcast with my guy Stephen Boughton, who started that channel. He's Canadian. He's been repping for all the Canadian tennis since I think 2019 or 18, possibly even before that. I think, yeah, actually I'm wrong. I'm pretty sure 2017 is when he started. So he's been getting after it for a while. I was lucky enough to join him. But the way we got connected is also the way that I started to get into tennis, and that was I was working at IMG Academy as a residential mentor for basically a lot of middle schoolers at the time, with the ultimate goal of getting into the marketing side, hopefully, or social media side as the department was growing. So I had a camera in my hands, trying to make my connections. And one day, all of the kids in my dorm were like, Denis Shapovalov is here. You got to go out there and take some pictures and videos for him. And I'm thinking, man, I have no idea who this guy is, but I'll go out there. And so I go take some photos and videos for him. And afterwards, I introduced myself. He's like, man, if you could send me that stuff, that would be awesome. I never really have a lot of content. This is back in 2019. So 6 years ago now, which is crazy because I think he was only 19 at the time. Obviously, I was 25, 24, whatever it was. And built a relationship with him, figure out who he is after I do all this stuff. And I'm like, man, if he's looking for content, what does that mean for the rest of the tennis world? Seems like there's a need there in that market. Tried to fulfill the need. Ultimately, I tried to start my own business. I work with some other awesome players, but tennis was not working out for my full-time job. So I was lucky enough to get a job with Bussin' with the Boys, who Will alluded to earlier, which is actually more of a football podcast. And I love football. For those, I got the Gamecocks behind me. We got a lot of good Gamecock tennis players out there, though. Sarundalo is a Gamecock. Paul Jubb rising in the ranks. He's a Gamecock. So the Gamecocks are out there in the tennis streets. But basically, because I worked with Denis, Steven reached out to me back then with the Slice, asking if he could borrow or if he could use a video that I took of Denis. I was like, oh, yeah, of course. So we stayed in touch. And then around this time, May of 2024, Steven was like, hey, we have a little bit more of a budget now. I'd love to bring you on the podcast. So now I've been doing the Slice with him for about a year.
That's awesome. That's a great origin story for you to get into tennis. And just so happens, Shapo is one of my favorite players.
For good reason, man. He's the best. Look, for as great as he is on the court, he's an even better person, so I cannot speak more highly of him. And a great player to be a fan of if you are a tennis fan looking to latch on to a player.
Oh, of course. He's got an exciting game. He seems like just one of the normal chill dudes on tour.
For sure.
Definitely. I know you guys have had him on the podcast before. That must have been a great interview to get to know him a little bit better and see him just have fun, because I feel like you said, a lot of players don't have big social media teams around them, not a lot of online presence.
Right.
So people don't really get to know their true personality. And these guys can be such bigger stars if people got to know them or would listen to a few conversations. But oh wait, that's Zverev guy. I used to hate him because of his tennis, but now I kind of like him because he's a funny, cool guy. So
man, and they used to. That's how tennis players used to be viewed. Like back in the 70s and 80s, they were the hot shots in the around the world. Out of all the athletes, people knew the tennis players. They were on the covers of all the magazines. But then I feel like the marketing switched, and a lot of the basketball players and football players started to get represented better, started to have their agents understood the game more. And one of the craziest things that I ever learned was that David Falk, who was Michael Jordan's agent, Obviously, it helps when Michael Jordan's one of the greatest basketball players of all time. But he was working on Arthur Ashe's team before he got in with Michael Jordan, and he was one of the first agents to kind of implement in the team sports representing players as individuals and
Wow.
like branding them as individuals. So we gotta get back to that.
Yeah, definitely. That would be a rising industry. I see your dream. I think Jannik Sinner, he started a YouTube and it's already got like hundreds of thousands of
Man,
subscribers. So like tennis fans are itching for this kind of content from players. So hopefully one day people catch on and be like, hey, there's a whole new business avenue that we can explore, and it's
yep,
gonna just create avenues everywhere, just boosting your online presence because that's the day that we're in right now. But as of someone who's an American sports fan and got into tennis later, I didn't really get diehard into tennis until like after college when I had a little bit more time and really started,
right,
trying to perfect my one-handed backhand. Being a tennis fan or an American tennis fan, like it has not really conflicted with me also loving the NFL and my New York Giants, who I'm wearing my t-shirt,
come
like the
on,
sport, because it's such a global sport nowadays
right,
that tournaments are all over the world. So like there's matches in the morning, there's matches all day long. There's not matches like when it's prime time Sunday night football that I'm being like, oh, should I watch this like
yeah,
Tiafa match or should I watch like Monday Night Football? Because I'm going to watch Monday Night Football. But that's,
right.
we're not competing. So I love to see people that, are sports fan, but also love tennis and can get more into
Yeah.
it.
I mean, that's the great part, right? Like in the summer is when a lot of American sports fans, we view it as the downtime where there's that period at the end of June and into July where the only thing on is really baseball. And now
Don't get me
UFC
started.
has gotten, yeah, baseball is tough to watch, but
Yeah.
UFC, obviously, they've gotten massive over the last 10 years, so they have those events going on. But if you are involved in tennis and follow tennis, it's like you never have to have a down period of sport
Oh,
if you are
yeah.
also a tennis fan, which is another upside, another plea to the average sports fan to get into tennis.
Oh, yeah. It's like January through November, pretty much every single day. You
Right.
could have the most crazy tournament Grand Slam final, and then the next day there's going to be like a 250.
Exactly.
So it's absolutely incredible. And we mentioned Shapo before. I know you guys talked to Felix as well. Do you find yourself rooting for the Canadian players, or what kind of guys have you, now that you've gotten into the sport, have you really found that you've been, trying to get behind?
For sure. I definitely, even when they play the Americans, I'm going to ride with Dennis and Felix. Everyone else, I'm taking the Americans over them.
Okay.
And I do. And so obviously, I love keeping up with Dennis and I love swinging the sword for him on social media because he's got a lot of people that come after him. But, and a guy that I'm gravitating towards more, who in the beginning I wasn't as sold on, but Taylor Fritz, he's starting to up his online game. And he does a great job with his Twitter. Obviously, he's playing probably the best tennis he's ever played in his career as of recently, making every single semifinal of a lot of these recent tournaments, Grand Slams, Masters 1000s, making it, he's playing in a lot of big time matches towards the end of the tournaments, which is always good. And then he's also an anime guy. I recently got
Yeah.
into anime. So I'm seeing him swing the sword for anime online with Delta. They just partnered with Crunchyroll, and I was like, okay, I'm starting to rock with Taylor Fritz. But another American that I'm really starting to rock with is Ben Shelton, and he is also a controversial player, but I do think he is. I don't want to pit any of our guys against each other, but I think Ben Shelton is our best shot at a Grand Slam. He's been playing amazing as of recently, and I think the best part about him is that he's still young and we haven't seen his ceiling yet. He's still getting better and better, even just within the matches. Because at the end of the day, he's a young guy. He hasn't been on tour that long in comparison to even Alcaraz and Sinner, who have been pro since they were 18, 17 years old. And Shelton he's got a big game. He plays with some attitude. So I love watching him. And I think, again, in Cincy, he's having another great run after just winning in Canada. And usually you see these guys drop off after they go deep in a tournament before, but he's in such great
Not when you're
shape, which gives him,
22 and 6'4" in a prime athletic shape.
dude, and it's people sleep on that aspect of it. Like all the greats can show up every single week and they can play deep in every week, and he's proven it at a young age. So I love the Americans are in good hands right now.
Oh yeah, there's definitely an ascension in the American game. Those two guys, as you said, Tommy Paul, Tiafo, a lot of great guys that are now starting to come up in the rankings. But Ben, I've tweeted out a couple times. He's for sure a top 5 watch in the sport right
Oh
now.
yeah,
And like you said, with his athleticism profile, his size, speed, his pop on the serve, which is the most valuable stroke in tennis. So if he has a good serving day, it's like nothing you could do. And
right,
then as you said, he's only been on tour for this might be his second full year. He's only 22. Him spending that time in college got to the tour a little bit later. So he kind of got by initially with a big serve and a forehand, and now he's like, hey, a big serve and a big forehand, and me just being 6'4" can get me to Grand Slams round of 16s. But then I
right.
lose to the top guys. And then what do you do in your development to start competing with those top guys? And he's shown that willingness to
Yep.
improve on those weaknesses. And his dad is like a tennis nerd, he said, and he is constantly trying to improve his son. And Ben's like, I like kind of like tennis. I like, what tennis brings me, but I'm not like super passionate. Like I don't absolutely love the sport. He's like, my dad
Right.
though, my dad is obsessed. So he's like, he's helping him and see things in his game. And, he's got that team around him that
Yeah.
really is supportive and makes life on tour fun, where tennis is a grind. Like we said, there's
Grind,
tennis
man.
every single day, but these players, like, I can't imagine what it's like to be traveling every single week to a different place in the world while you're
Dude.
also sprinting around the court, playing every single day, trying to like, do I eat the right foods, get enough sleep? If you get nervous, like it's absolutely insane what these guys got to go through.
Yeah, I mean, and they run it themselves, right? It's I remember probably 2-3 years ago, I was sitting with Dennis because I was still not, I don't know all the ins and outs of tennis. So I'm asking him, I'm like, how does your agent book your travel? Like, how do you just figure out who you're paying? Like, do you have a business set up to where you have these people on your payroll, you have an accountant that pays it out, and this is a 23-year-old kid. And you
Yeah.
asked me to set up a business at 23 years old, and obviously there's some great agents out there, but there's also a lot of not so great agents because you see some of these deals that these guys get or the deals they don't get, and you see the following they have. And being in the world that I'm in, when I'm seeing Will and Taylor get these massive brand deals and they have a third of the followers as these tennis players, like
Yeah.
what kind of work is really being done? But they're so young, they don't understand the business of it. The tennis industry just isn't up to speed with all the other ones, but it's so much on them mentally to
Yeah.
essentially run a business and figure out how to run a business at that age, that the team is so important. And Shelton to be able to have his dad is incredible. And I'm sure their back and forths are very funny off because you
Oh
can get a little
yeah.
bit more upset with your dad than you can a coach. But Jesse Levine, who came on the Slice yesterday, he was calling matches in Toronto. And to speak to Ben's coachability, he told an awesome story about, I don't know if it was in between sets or something in the final or I guess it was in between sets, or maybe after the semifinals match. Jesse saw Ben's dad, and Jesse played tennis at Florida as well, so they have the Florida connection. And he asked him, he's like, what are you seeing in Ben's game that, could be improved on, that could help him out? And Jesse's like, he's absolutely ripping these serves, these like outside serves. If he just takes, 10 miles per hour off of it, it's going to spray way further out, and the guy's going to have no chance of getting to it. Because right now it's coming, you're not getting the full effect of it, and the dude's able to get it back.
Yeah.
And his dad was like, I'm going to let him know you said that because I think he's done listening to me for now. And then Ben wins and he sees Jesse after and he says, hey, man, he's like, 10 miles per hour off. You saw it. Listen. And I'm like, dang, the fact that, because he's in the final, he got himself to the final. He doesn't have to listen to anybody,
Yeah.
but he takes the coaching in the moment and, ultimately he gets a dub. So it's cool.
That's an awesome story. And the coachability in tennis is massive, especially
Massive.
like you said, having his dad around is a benefit. But some players, the relationship with your parents isn't always as fruitful as that with Ben and his dad. We see other players where they're yelling at their dads, or it's so
Right.
easy to yell at your parent because they're not going to like abandon you, where you use them as
Exactly.
like an outlet for negative energy, where they're like, hey, get your head straight, smile,
Yeah,
be positive. Come on, where's the come on.
exactly.
But yeah, it's exciting stuff. And I think Bennett's no fluke. He's number 6 in the live rankings. He doesn't have a lot of points to defend at the U.S. Open. And
Right.
he also is primed to make the ATP finals this year. So he is going to pick up a massive amount of points at the end of this year. I think he probably has the higher ceiling than Fritz as a player, where I
Right.
think maybe he does have a little where Fritz probably has the higher floor. We're at this point in
Yeah.
his career, we know what we're going to expect from Taylor Fritz. He's not going to lose to the guys he's not supposed to lose to, and we're going to
Right.
see him consistently in quarterfinals of Grand Slams, and then it's up to him if he can elevate, against these top guys and who he matches up against. But yeah, American tennis is on the rise for sure. Do
It
you
is,
think
man.
these guys have a chance to win Cincinnati, or how are you feeling so far about this tournament?
It's tough, right? Whenever Alcaraz and Sinner are in the draw, it feels like they're going to be in every single final for the rest of time.
Yeah.
But but at the end of the day, they are young too. We've seen Alcaraz slip up before. Sinner not as much, but it's not like I will be the most surprised fan in the world to see Sinner drop a random set, because these guys, like, while the gap is big, the seasons are long and a lot of things can happen. So
Mm-hmm.
all it takes is one mental lapse. You see Sinner when he was getting upset with his serve, and he immediately books the practice court after to keep working on it. I don't know if anybody beats him. There's more of a chance they lose at Cincy than the U.S. Open.
Yeah,
Pretty
because
much
of the
every
2 out of
Grand
3
Slam for the
set.
rest of time until somebody proves me otherwise. It's going to be Sinner versus Alcaraz in the final, and I think the best hope, honestly, like they always talk about the big three, and I know we're supposed to be talking about Cincy, but
Oh, we could
I
jump
feel
around, no
like
problem.
there's probably the person that will probably cause the most problems for them is has got to be some 15-year-old somewhere that we don't know about yet, that in 3 years he comes on tour and he gives Sinner or Alcaraz a run for their money at 18, similar to how Djokovic comes in to Federer and Nadal. There's somebody out there. I don't know if we've met them yet, but I do believe there's someone out there.
Oh, I agree. And that's the also super exciting part about tennis is every year there's a new 17. You have no idea that they were filthy. And
Right.
like we didn't know about Joao Fonseca a year or two ago. We were like, whoa, who's
Exactly.
this like 17-year-old kid getting a wild card to Rio? And oh my God, he
Right.
just won like 3 matches and now we're seeing his ascension. So yeah, I think if it's going to be someone outside of Sinner or Alcaraz, in Cincy in the shorter format, these faster courts, like I expect them to get more likely to use this as like a warm up for the U.S. Open. Get
Right.
them in a 3 out of 5 Grand Slam match. Like good luck. You could be even if you're better than Alcaraz for like an hour, which is like a tall feat. You got to be better than him for like 4 hours, and
Right.
then that is where it's tough because not many people can sustain that kind of level for as long as he can. And then those guys also have that extra gear in them. But are you giving Felix a chance to upset our boy Felix, the Canadian hope, against Jannik Sinner in the quarterfinals?
I think if Sinner didn't get so pissed off in the last match, then I would give him more of a chance. But I mean, if the chances are slim. There's
Oh
always a
yeah,
chance, and especially when you are Felix. Felix is more athletic than a lot of the people, and I mean, so much of the game is mental. He seems to be in a great mental spot. He's playing well. He's in the quarterfinals after losing first round in the home country to bounce back to be in the quarters at Cincy shows a lot about his mental strength. But man, I think the people left in it that I'm most interested to see would be Shelton. Hopefully he can get one of them. And then Runa. Like, I feel like Runa, for a little bit of time there, he was talked about he kind of placed himself in the big three with Alcaraz and Sinner. But he has a big game. He has the belief. And he's just, I know he's dealt with a few injuries here and there, and it seems like he's healthy. I know he's lucky he got the walkover with Tiafoe. Obviously, he won the first set, but, it keeps him fresh. I would love to see him make a run and kind of get his name in the mix some, because I feel like he deserves to be in there, and he sort of has had some tough luck as of late. So I would love to see Shelton or Runa kind of cause some problems out there.
I like those picks, and I'm just high on them in general as like people going forward because they are like
Right.
potential star power players for this sport to help boost those
Oh yeah.
matches that don't have Sinner Alcaraz. Like Holger and Shelton are guys you want to watch.
Yeah.
Holger, I thought he was very impressive against Tiafoe. Tiafoe definitely gave out physically a little bit there. He's got a tough matchup with Fritz. Did Fritz win? I know he was
I
playing.
think he lost.
Oh my gosh, Fritz lost to out. Oh wow, that changes
Yeah, won the
everything.
first set, dropped the next two.
Wow, that's really surprising. I thought that lefty matchup was going to be tough for Taylor just because, Taylor wants to rely on just ripping that forehand all day and clubbing
Right.
it. But yeah, I like Holger's draw even more knowing that Fritz is out of there because he would be my main concern.
Yeah.
And he has spent time recently with Agassi. I think you guys can pick up on that wisdom, at least like reset your minds. Both of them incredible backhand, so who knows what Holger learned from him. But yeah, I like the level he's showing here. Shelton, I'm a little bit more concerned about just because his draw is way harder.
Yeah.
If he's got a tough matchup with Yuri Lehechka in the round of 16 just to get to the quarterfinals. And then Khachanov and Zverev, I think they're playing tonight. So that's a
Yeah.
tough road for Shelton just to even get to Carlos, even though I would love to see that Shelton Carlos semifinal for who gets like Jannik on the other side. Um,
Definitely.
I mean, if Ben can pull that off, I'd be seriously impressed. But I don't think he can get there. That'd be a surprise. I think Zverev takes out Karen tonight,
Yep.
and then I don't know, man. Lehechka's looking so dangerous too. That's a tough matchup for Ben. I think Lehechka actually can get by Ben, and then we're looking Lehechka Zverev, and then Sasha. Even though he like has no confidence recently, has looked a little bit better. But man, Lehechka's a
He looked
wild
good
card
in
here.
Canada, I feel like, and I guess this is a rematch too against
Yeah, he
Khachanov.
lost in Khachanov in Canada.
Since he's a fun tournament, I hope that if we do get Sinner Alcaraz, hopefully it can be a similar Cincy final to when Djokovic and Alcaraz had that awesome one, I guess maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah,
But because that was epic, especially going into the U.S. Open, that one had me fired up. And if we could get another little all-time match with Alcaraz and Sinner, that would be great. And I was seeing Sinner, he's on, in his 24 match or 24 hard court win streak. And then Alcaraz, he just hit his 50th win in the round of 16. And this is the first player since Djokovic in 2013 through 2016 to win 50 plus, to have 50 plus wins in 4 consecutive seasons.
ridiculous.
Crazy, man.
And he's only 22. Like, how many more years is he going to be able to do that? Like, barring injury, he should hit that number like every single year.
It's truly just up to him. However long he decides to do it at this level will be however long the streak will go.
Agreed. Do you think he takes Cincinnati? Let's do our final like end of the predictions. Do you think he gets over Sinner, gets a little revenge from Wimbledon? How do you see this tournament playing out the rest of the week?
Man, I know that a lot of people, obviously, Sinner hard court is his thing. Australian Open, the one surface Carlos cannot seem to figure out. I think it's more of at the time of the year the tournament happens for Carlos more than it is the actual surface. But I know a lot of people are high on Sinner after Wimbledon, and they should be. He's playing lights out. He's always lights out. He never really has dips. But I still got to look at in the last 6 matches. It's 5-1 Alcaraz.
Yeah.
And I do think he's got that little fire lit in him. They both have the fire lit in them, of course. But right now, I'm still on the Alcaraz train. I'll say this. I think if Sinner beats him in Cincy, and if he like beats him,
yeah.
then I think you can go ahead and put Sinner in for the U.S. Open champion. Whereas if it's closer and Sinner wins, then I think, okay, I still feel like it'll be a great match at U.S. Open. Maybe Alcaraz edges him out. But if Alcaraz does beat him in Cincy, it could send Sinner right back to where he was before Wimbledon of like, man, can I really do it against this guy?
Yeah. that mental edge was such a huge component of the matchup because even though Alcaraz did have, the deciding stats recently, those matchups were very close. But it was
Oh
kind of
yeah,
like when it came down to the clutch, like who are you putting your money on? It's like you got to take Carlitos because he was the one that was coming out on top in the matchup. And yeah, I agree with you that the Alcaraz train is a good one to be on now and for the rest of tennis time.
yeah,
And I think the main thing I've seen from Carlos is he's so good at like everything in tennis, especially growing up, where he hasn't had to rely on a big serve
right,
to get him easy points. Where a
yeah,
lot of these other guys, it's the opposite, where they relied on, if you're like Fritz, Zverev, Medvedev, you had a huge serve because you're 6'4", 6'6". Like
right,
Carlos doesn't have that kind of height and easiness on serve to get him those free points early on in his career. But now that, he's pretty much perfected everything else, he's like, let me work on that part of my game. And now he's absolutely ripping, first serves at 135 regularly
right.
and with variety because he's got a nasty kick serve. And, he's working on that part of his game where I think, like you said, it's also the beginning of the season. He's not, you take a break. He had a long ass
Yeah.
season. You get a month off, and you got to turn around and play like one of the most important tournaments of the
In the
year.
Australian
Yeah,
summer. Oh,
yeah, in the Australian summer. So I get where he could struggle there, as most people would, unless you're like Djokovic and probably
right.
didn't take the month off and just like prep the entire time
Yeah,
for the
you had
Grand
your one
Slam.
chocolate, and then you just
Yeah,
can't keep going.
exactly. Yeah, exactly. But I like the improvements I've seen from Carlos there. I think he's going to be right there on a hard court. And coming to U.S. Open, I think it's going to be hard not to pick these two guys.
Yeah,
Cincy, though, I like his part of the draw just to get to the semis. I mean, Zverev, I'm still not confident in him to get over that Alcaraz hurdle. He would have to redline, and Carlos would have to have a bad day. So just like
yeah,
probability, I think Alcaraz wins that match like 75% of the time.
right,
And then I think the other side is gets more complicated because, like, yes, Sinner has won in straight sets, but he's like not looked great, and it's a little
right.
hot in Cincy, and I don't know like how like physically he wants to invest his body into like winning this tournament. Where he won
Yep.
today, and it said, I played 3 matches here. If I only played 3 matches here, like that's okay because I'm, my
Yeah,
eyes are on the U.S. Open, so that's where I think this part of the schedule is a little tricky for like the top guys who are now contending for slams because it's only a couple
right.
weeks away. And what kind of toll do you want to put on your body to lift this trophy? Where like at the end of the day, if you lose Cincinnati but win the U.S. Open, no one's going to talk about you losing Cincinnati.
Right.
So I can
It's a great
see.
point.
So like with Sinner's different, like with his more difficult part of the draw, because I think Felix, like you said, like he could redline and push Sinner, especially if he's serving lights out.
Right.
And Holger's dangerous. Like he could push Sinner. We saw it at the Australian Open. He was like one of the only guys that really pushed Sinner until
Yeah.
he like lost in that fourth set. But that's a complicated draw. So
Yeah,
yeah,
no, I love that. I love that breakdown, and it's such a good point about the physicality of it because it is still, if there's one question mark on Sinner, and I hate to even put a question mark on him because he's so elite, but it is the fitness of going deep into playing consecutive long matches. Like, have we seen him win back-to-back 5-set grueling matches? I don't know off the top of my head, but I would say probably not. And
yeah,
he hasn't had not many people can go 5 with him,
yeah,
but
exactly.
it is, it's a great point. Like you get pushed a little while and you got US Open coming up. How much is it worth it? But he'll have to figure it out if he does want to get to the Federer Djokovic level because those guys are winning winning US Open. They're winning every single tournament.
Yeah,
So you got to figure out the fitness if you want to get to that, upper echelon of 20 majors, which is insane in itself. But he's got the game to do it, and I do
yeah,
think he can get into that shape. Or you just become so good you never even have to grind out those matches.
yeah. You're like I never even have to go to a third. It's 6-2, 6-3 every single time.
Right.
Uh,
No, don't question me.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, I'm a little concerned. I think I would probably honestly pick Alcaraz to win this Cincy.
Are you going to the US Open?
Oh yeah, of course I'm going to the U.S. Open. It's my favorite day of the year. It's
Let's go.
literally I like going to the earlier rounds because then you get to see like it's tennis everywhere you look, and then you just kind
Right.
of find where the best matches are. But
Let's go. I
what about
love it,
you? Do you
man.
usually go?
I've only been one time to the U.S. Open. I've been to Cincinnati once, and then I've been to the Miami Open twice.
Oh, that's fun.
So yeah, Miami Open is cool, but dude, it's tough because I was supposed to try to go to week one of U.S. Open, but one of my best friends is getting married that weekend, and so I'm a
You're
groomsman
like,
in the wedding. And then the next weekend, college football starts, and we have a lot of travel with work.
yeah.
I'm not able to do it, but
Oh,
man,
that's a
I would
bummer.
love to because the one time I went, it was awesome, and I needed more time. I was only there for one day. I'm like, man, I need the full weekend.
Dude, I have to have you come back on, and I could tell you some of my funny U.S. Open stories. One of them involves
Need it.
Shapo. I was sitting next to my friend, and we were watching his practice session. I was like, dude, I want to like say something. I want to get his ball because I'm a huge Shapo guy. He's a lefty
Right.
one-hander. If there was a create a my player for tennis, it would be Denis Shapovalov for me.
100%.
And I was like, dude, I want to say something. Like, I got a pen. I was like, he's like, dude, just don't embarrass us. And then like he was like, didn't come over or whatever. He finished the session, started walking away. I was like, Dennis, I have a one-hander because of you. And then he just like looked at me, like gave a thumbs up and like chuckled. I was like, nailed it. He's like, my friend was like,
Legend.
dude, he's like, don't look at it. He's like, I'm not with that guy.
No, man. Hey, he loves that stuff too. Like he's very aware of the position he's in, how quickly it can come and go. And so if there's a player to shout out and show love to, then he's definitely one of them. I had a similar when I was at Cincinnati or when I was at Miami, Kyrgios was practicing, and it wasn't me that yelled anything to him, but another guy was walking by. I was like, Nick, I love you. And Nick like rips a forehand and his partner hits it back, and Nick just completely turns around. He like throws up the heart. He's like, love you too, mate. I'm
Oh,
like,
that's
see, that's what
awesome.
it's all about.
Yeah. I know these guys, if you look online, they get so much hate, and then like everyone's like, the fans are there, and it's like they love tennis, and it's like you can really
Dude.
push up the sport, and it's such a good atmosphere, and
Yeah.
the events are so much fun to go to. It's like watching
100%.
tennis on TV is fun, but going to tennis in person is like such an experience. Like you really get to
The
appreciate
TV
how
never does it
insane.
justice how hard they hit the ball.
Oh yeah, that and like how ripped they are. Like you would think Sinner's
Yeah.
a twig based off like his frame, and then if you saw him in real life, like oh my gosh, his leg is just, like absolutely shredded in lean muscle. Like these guys are
Dude.
specimens.
The one that always shocks me, not shocks me because he has a big stature, but Zverev. He's a
Oh yeah,
machine.
yeah. He literally said one time, I think I have like unlimited fitness, and I was like, dude,
Yeah.
my fitness is so limited. I could never relate to that. I could never relate to that. Like at
100%, dude.
like tennis at the end of the day is like a running sport and you got to move your feet. So like as someone who like got a little chubby and now getting back in shape, it's like you could see the difference between like having to move with extra
Bro.
weight on you versus like being a machine.
After one set for me, because we'll be playing in the afternoon here, I don't really play that often. So there's a lot that goes into my poor play. But dude, the first set I'll be fine. That second set, I'm trash. Like no footwork, can't get around. I feel just sluggish. It's horrible. And then I go watch these guys. I'm like, man, I don't know how people can feel so confident when they badmouth the tennis
Oh
players.
yeah,
And
it's
they're
like
talking about, because Felix and Dennis are great examples when people just rail on them. I'm like, man, y'all do not understand. One, how good the people they're playing are, and how hard the sport is. Like,
yeah,
go out there one summer day in any state in America. If it's a summer, go out there at 12 o'clock and go try to play 3 sets.
yeah. You can't.
You can't
Or
do it.
yeah, it's a testament to these athletes as fans. I think they deserve more. I think this sport, deserves more attention. I'm so
Yep.
happy with like the trajectory of the growth and the popularity and the attention that it's starting to get with casual sports fans and people that are, showing interest in the sport, especially with how big of stars Carlos and Jannik are becoming now.
Right.
And yeah, JP, this summer of tennis has been a good one, and I think we're set for this U.S. Open to be quite the climax. And we've already got 2 Alcaraz Sinner finals. If we get a three-peat for the tiebreaker in the last Grand Slam of the year, like
Cinema.
I don't know what else to say. Like you don't got to say much. You just got to enjoy and then watch the highlights on YouTube, like for the next 10 years.
Dude, I'm telling that's hopefully we get another French Open.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Wimbledon was exciting just to see Jannik get one back and like close the gap. So
Right.
now it's like not such a divide. So there's
Yeah.
more of like a talking point. But yeah, man, this has been great, dude. Thanks for coming on and talking some ball with me. Would love to do this again in the future. Whenever you want to come on, just let me know. Or definitely around the U.S. Open time.
Yes, sir.
But yeah,
Will, it
definitely if
was
you want to
awesome.
yeah, if you want to plug some of your socials, go follow you guys on Twitter, JP Hovey. Go follow Bussin' with the Boys, and of course, the Slice Tennis Podcast.
For sure, man. I appreciate it. This was a lot of fun. We'll definitely have to hop back on. Hopefully, our predictions are correct with Cincy in the U.S. Open. And especially if they are, we'll definitely have to hop back on. I'll have to get Steven in here too.
Oh,
He'll be
definitely,
able to
yeah.
get more analytical with you than I can. I'm more of an energy
Oh, yeah.
vibes guy. Steven's got all the stats down, so
Oh, definitely would.
we'll have to do a little crossover with the slice and the double fault.
Definitely, man. I would love to do that. That'd be so much fun. But yeah, thanks you guys all for listening. Go follow JP. Don't forget to subscribe to the Double Fault Podcast and keep double faulting out there.